You might not have known this. You might not have known at all. But Beto O'Rourke and Bill de Blasio is still in this race, meaning the presidential primary. And as they're still in the primary, they are, of course, ensconced in the back, in the middle of the wilderness, far back of the wilderness. At some point, people are going to stop giving them money, but they are going to be on the debate stage come next week. He has taken a sledgehammer, meaning de Blasio, on Twitter, has taken a sledgehammer to an outright ludicrous, absurd proposition that Beto O'Rourke has been putting forth on Medicare for All. And by the way, Beto O'Rourke is not alone in this. Joe Biden has also taken to lying about Medicare for All. To some degree, it tells about your position if you got to lie about mine. And one more thing about this. Disingenuousness. Beto O'Rourke. Look, if someone has to be disingenuous to you about something, then they're probably lying to you about something else. Beto O'Rourke has gone to calling his plan something like Medicare for America. And you think to yourself, why are you naming this plan anywhere near close to Medicare for All? The only reason you would do that is if you were trying to confuse people on what Medicare for All is and what your plan is. Why are you trying to confuse people? There's a reason. There's a reason. Let's take a look at this right here. This video is not going to be long, but I pointed this out because I thought this was absolutely hilarious. This is Beto, and this is what Beto is putting forth about Medicare for All.
This is going to guarantee universal, high-quality coverage and care for every single American without exception. Those who are currently uninsured and uncared for are going to be able to enroll in Medicare immediately. Those who, as you referred to, are insufficiently covered, cannot meet that copay, afford the premium, or bridge the deductible, they're also able to elect to move into Medicare. But for those who have private employer-sponsored insurance or members of unions who have fought for health care plans, sometimes in lieu of wage increases or other earned benefits, and have a health care plan that they like because it works for them and their families, they'll be able to keep that. So we get to...
What Beto is essentially talking about is everybody in this country that is deathly ill and that is poor is going to immediately jump on to Medicare. There's not going to be anybody that can balance that process out because those people are not going to have the tax dollars and everything else to put into it. Again, they may not have money at all. I mean, that's kind of part of the issue where we're talking about Medicare for All. You're talking about a system that is not going to be workable. You're going to crash the system right off the bat. More to it, though, Beto put this tweet out on top of that. He says, we don't have to make the false choice between status quo where millions of Americans are uninsured and millions more can't afford their prescriptions, and a plan that would force 180 million Americans off of their health insurance. That's why I support Medicare for America. Medicare for America. This is utterly ludicrous. It is technically true that you're forcing 180 million people off of their healthcare insurance. You could say that way. By the same token, people lose their healthcare insurance year after year after year on the various jobs. And I have to be honest, saying that just because somebody might have been in a union and fought a high quality healthcare, I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China. They're not losing any benefits in the context of their healthcare. In fact, the expansion of Medicare for All includes vision, dental. You're talking about high quality healthcare across the board, this Cadillac plan for everybody. Now, that argument makes sense if you say, well, I don't want those other people to get a Cadillac plan. I got my Cadillac plan. Screw those people. But is that really the argument that you want to make? I got mine, screw theirs. Look, the basics of this is people lose their healthcare insurance, meaning they change healthcare insurance all the time. What people care about is whether or not they can keep their doctor. And the answer to that question is yes. Medicare for All means everybody in this country, man, woman, child, you're born in this country, congratulations, your birthright. We've evolved to the point of saying you have health care. That's what Medicare for All is. You're covered. Dental, vision, you're covered. And you're not going to be hounded with bills. You're not going to be hounded with copays. All of that stuff. You are covered. That's what that means. It means we're paying billions of dollars less for health care each year. It means that Americans are no longer being gouged with drug costs. It means that people are not skipping their insulin or not getting their drugs or not getting a medication because they need to eat that week. That's what that means. That's what Medicare for All means. This notion that 180 million people are off their insurance, while technically true, the reality of it is those people continue with their doctors, no longer have copays, and when they are paying for their insurance, their health care, which they are paying for, it is coming out of their taxes as opposed to coming out of the front end. The moment that you ask people and you tell people you can keep your doctor, that's what they care about. People don't have a love of healthcare insurance companies. What they do like is their doctor. Do you know I've had my doctor for over 20 years? My doctor, when I first met him, he didn't take kids. I was wildly overweight, I think maybe like 100, 200 pounds. And from that point, I was with him. And losing weight, lost 100 something pounds, through kidney failure, everything else, I've had this exact same doctor. My nephrologist, I had him for 20 or 15 years or more. And because I was engaging or dealing with him when I was around 16, 17 years old, he looked at me almost as a kind of paternal figure. And, you know, when you're that young, you're dealing with kidney failure and everything else, you go off the rails. And how I am here, this kind of adversarial perspective, I was that way even in that situation, especially in this kind of hierarchical structure of the medical stuff. And this assertion of individuality in the face of a medical establishment. But nevertheless, he dealt with that. He had to deal with that. And because of the relationship that we had throughout the course of all that time, 10, 15 years, he was far better in dealing with me than anybody else, as opposed to me meeting somebody new. Who am I talking about in this situation? I'm talking about my doctor. What did I haven't talked about? My insurance company. People don't like their insurance companies per se as an absolute. They like their doctors. Beto is fighting for insurance companies. Fight for your doctor. So, Bill de Blasio is apparently watching this, and in a scream for relevance, since he is in the wilderness, if someone proposed a radical idea called public education today, Beto would try to warn us that 100 million 80 Americans would be kicked out of their schools. Let's leave the lazy fear-mongering tactics for Trump. Yes, exactly. Medicare for All ensures that everybody gets health care. Beto is fear-mongering, acting as if people are going to lose access to their health care. Like I was saying, people care about their doctors, not necessarily their insurance companies. He's fear-mongering, pretending as if they are going to lose access to health care. He's conflating the two. De Blasio makes the point clear and nails him to the wall. If somebody proposed a radical idea called public education, Beto would be out here warning us that 180 million Americans would be kicked out of their schools. God, I love that. This is simple. Either we care about corporate profits or we care about access to quality health care. A system meant to maximize corporate profits can't coexist with a system meant to take care of people. Can't have it both ways. It's one or the other. This goes further because O'Rourke responds to him. O'Rourke, he says, thanks for reaching out, Bill. Just like every parent can send their kids to a public school under our plan, every American who wants to enroll in Medicare can do so. It's the best way to guarantee high quality health care for every American. No, it's not, actually. That's not the best way to guarantee. Not at all. De Blasio replied, an important debate, my friend, but the best way to guarantee high quality care is to make sure wealthy and poor people, healthy and sick people get the same care. To allow corporate interests to stay in the table will do the opposite. They will whittle away at that. I guarantee you the moment that a Republican gets in office, they will find that and use that as a point to whittle away. He's absolutely right. You don't need to put all of the sick people and then allow all of the healthy people to be in the healthcare plans. Still being dogged with healthcare costs, by the way. De Blasio is right. So, shout out to De Blasio on this. Now, I don't know how far de Blasio is into the Medicare for All thing. And yeah, this is de Blasio trying to find some level of relevance. And is picking a fight in order to try to get that relevance. And Beto, still in the campaign. And initially, if I am not mistaken, was for Medicare for All and is now staunchly against it. And is arguing against it with some nonsense of Medicare for America. Talking about let's put all the sick people in Medicare and let's keep all of the other people in their healthcare plans. Yeah, this is the healthcare insurance company doing everything that they can to fight the push for Medicare for All. Beto, agent of the system. In this case, shout out to de Blasio for the Brooklyn in him, or wherever he's from, to bum rush and to put a sledgehammer to Beto's nonsense. Because think about what de Blasio is saying, and he's right. Beto is arguing, you're going to kick 180 million people off of their health care insurance. Yes, but the issue is not insurance. Those people are continuing to remain their care. It will be no different as if you went to 180 million people to say, look, we're going to change your health care card. Oh, really? Yes. The card that you have now is going to be replaced with a Medicare for All card. But I can see my doctor? Yes. I can go to my hospital? Yes. I have more? Yes. And you have more services. Vision, dental is now included in that. And you're not going to get a copay when you go to the doctor. And when you go to the emergency room, you're not going to get a bill when you leave that emergency room. All of that stuff is going to be covered on the back end. Really? Yes. Yes. Would you like that card? Yes, I want that card. I want that card. And we're saving billions. We're saving billions. If I'm not mistaken, trillions of dollars on this. Why is O'Rourke pushing for this? And O'Rourke can push for this. He can push for whatever he wants. I'm pushing for Medicare for All. And I'm using that as a red line. It is my litmus test. I am not voting for anybody if they're sketchy, dodgy, or on the fence about Medicare for All. This country can do big things. We put a person on the moon. We built the fucking highway system. We put in a war, changed our economy around to where we literally was pumping out so much hardware that we were able to put armadas on two sides of the globe, not to mention fund the entire war effort of Stalin and Churchill. Don't tell me we can't do big things. Don't tell me that we can't do big things. And I'm not talking about this half-ass Obamacare. If the point of healthcare is healthcare, then do it right the first time around. For the first time in our goddamn life, do it right. Medicare has an 80% approval. Social Security has an 80% approval. Great. We're expanding those programs over a 4-year plan in order to encompass the rest of the country, while also expanding the services of those plans. So regardless of how much money you have in your pocket, you're going to get the same service as a person with the richest person. That's amazing. That's what I'm pushing for. I'm pushing for Medicare for All. Shout out to de Blasio for putting a nail in his ass on this. Both of them are irrelevant at this point. But nevertheless, shout out to de Blasio. I don't know how far de Blasio is on Medicare for All. And this is de Blasio's way of trying to create a me versus him on this very specific issue of Medicare for All, where he can at the very least be seen as a champion or fighter for Medicare for All. Again, I don't know how far de Blasio is on for Medicare for All, so there's that. But whatever the politics of it is, what de Blasio is saying here is right. What O'Rourke's saying, again, is somewhat deceitful in his intent or in the way he's talking about it. But nevertheless, Joe Biden has also gone to lying. Our job is to correct them, to correct the record. Thanks so. Bye-bye. Like and share.